Hello everyone and welcome to this profile of my Fairy Lightsworn deck. I will first be starting with fairies, so I have 3 Master Hyperions, a great card. It can be special summoned from hand by banishing one the agent monster in your hand, field or graveyard. Once per turn you can banish one light fairy type monster from your graveyard to select one card on the field and destroy it. I run 3 and I would not suggest running any less because it's such an amazing effect and it can be fairly easily special summoned when using fairies. The next card is the Agent of Mystery Earth. When it is normal summoned, you can add one agent monster from your deck to your hand. It is also a tuner, and I use this effect to add the Agent of Creation Venus. Pay 500 life points, select one Mystical Shine Ball from your hand or deck and special summon it to your side of the field. It's a great effect, and it can be used to bring out multiple Mystical Shine Balls in one turn. I have 2 Mystical Shine Balls to be used with this deck. Some people run 3, but I found it 2 works much better for this deck. After bringing out 2 Mystical Shine Balls, it's a common strategy to bring out Gachi Gachi. If this face-up card would be destroyed, you can detach one XYZ material from this card instead. Face-up monsters you control gain 200 attack and defense for each XYZ material attached to this card. It's a very amazing effect, especially since fairies and Lightsworns do not have much attack points. This card really supplements that. The other card that I have is Ashlo-Christia. I have 2 of them. I find it very useful in this deck. The fact is, if you have exactly 4 fairy type monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. When you do, target one fairy type monster in your graveyard, add the target to your hand. Neither player can special summon monsters. If this face-up card would be sent from the field to the graveyard, it returns to the top of the deck instead. It has 2800 attack and it prevents special summons. This card can be a little tricky to special summon, but it can also be normal summoned. I have Foolish Burial to adjust the number of fairies in my grave, but Foolish Burial can also be used to special summon Master Hyperion and also for Judgment Dragons as well. Burial from a different dimension as well helps to adjust the number of fairies in your grave, especially goes well with Master Hyperion's effect. The next card I would like to talk about is Judgment Dragon. It's amazing for Lightsworns. Same with Master Hyperion. I would not run any less than 3. It's very useful. This card cannot be normal summon of set, must be special summoned from your hand by having 4 more Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can pay 1000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field. During each of your end phases, send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard. You must control this face-up card to activate and to resolve this effect. Sometimes you can special summon Master Hyperion, special summon Judgment Dragon, and go into Exceed Summon. I do not use it because of such great effects of both cards, but it can be done. Then I have Raikou Lightsworn Hunter. I find the 2 works the best. This deck does not have much removal, and Raikou really complements this deck by adding the removal. Also, another great thing about Raikou is that when it is flipped, you mill 3 cards. It's great because Lightsworn monsters, you can see here, they mill mainly at the end phase. And sometimes, if opponent has Bottomless or Torrential Tribute, the monster doesn't survive until end phase, and it becomes really troublesome to mill, and I played some decks where I could barely mill anything, and Raikou's effect is very good in this deck. Also, because I don't have any MST, I use Lila, Lightsworn Sorceress, as a substitute, and very common strategy sometimes is just to normal summon Lila, then attack, and then during main phase 2 use its effect. Next card is Lumina Lightsworn Summoner. I have 2 of them. It can be a very useful card. At times it's not as useful as it could be, but overall it's an amazing card. So the effect is once per turn you can discard 1 card, then target 1 level 4 lower Lightsworn monster in your graveyard. Special summon that card, the target. During each of your end phases, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. You must control this face-up card to activate and to resolve this effect. The most useful part of this effect is actually discarding 1 card, because it helps you to adjust the amount of monsters for Judgment Dragon. It can help you adjust the number of light fairy type monsters in your graveyard for Ashlo-Christia. and also to maybe add some fairies to the grave for the effect of Master Hyperion. And sometimes you can use its effect to bring out Lightsworn such as Orcus and go for XYZ summon of Levier, which is a great card. It pretty much once per turn you can detach one XYZ material from this card to target one banished level 4 lower monster, special summon that target to your side of the field. It's maybe not as useful in this card as it is in Rabbits, but nevertheless it can actually be used on your opponent's Rabbit. It would be odd, but if you do not summon any mystical shine balls, it can be used with Rabbit, which is it would be interesting. I never ended up using that, but it would be quite new. And the next card is Celestia Lightsworn Angel, an amazing card. I had a few duels with this deck, and most of the time I had this card in hand, and about half the time I actually managed to use its effect. So when you tribute summon this card by tributing one Lightsworn monster, you can send the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard to destroy up to 2 cards your opponent controls. It's an amazing card, amazing effect, especially when you pull it off, and as well as Lightsworn, so it helps towards the effect of Judgment Dragon. The next card is I have 2 Wolf Lightsworn Beasts. The downside to this card is that it cannot be normal summoned or set. When this card is sent from your deck to the graveyard, you can special summon it. So it's not as great to have in your hand, but it can be used as a material for Solar Recharge, which allows you to discard one Lightsworn monster and draw 2 cards and send the top 2 cards from your deck to the graveyard. Very useful to have Wolf Lightsworn Beast in your hand because it's useless in your hand. So it's nice to discard and also to add possible Lightsworn for Judgment Dragon. It can be special summoned using Foolish Burial and also adds to the Judgment Dragon effect. Next I have 2 Orcus Lightsworn Druids. Lightsworn monsters cannot be targeted by spell, traps or card effects. I do not use this effect almost never, but it's another Lightsworn and it has 1800 defense, which is with Gachi Gachi that would be 2200, so it's a decent card, and because it has pretty high defense, hopefully it will last until end phase when you can use its effect to mill cards. Then I have Honest, which isn't used as much anymore as it used to be even 6 months ago, but it's still a very useful card. The effect is during your main phase, you can return this card from the field to its owner's hand. During either player's damage step, when a face-up light monster you control battles, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to have that monster gain attack equal to the attack of the opponent's monster it is battling until the end phase. It is an amazing effect. It's usually a good idea just to keep it in hand and surprise your opponent, and as you can see, most of these cards in this deck are light, so it's very useful. Then I have Sengan. Most of you are familiar with this effect. When this card is sent from the field to graveyard and one monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, I use this effect to usually add the Agent of Mr. Earth to my hand, and then to use it for the Agent of Creation Venus, or sometimes Plug Spread Zombie, or maybe Raikou. Then I have Plug Spread Zombie. I find in this deck it's a very useful card to help with synchro summons. They're not as common anymore, but I still like them. And other than that, there is only one tuner, the Agent of Mr. Earth. So Plug Spread Zombie really helps to speed up with synchro summons. And for synchro summons I have Armory Arm. Then I have Alley of Jester Cataster. Then I have 2 Orient Dragons and 1 Bryanak. The Plug Spread Zombie can be discarded to graveyard using Foolish Burial, and its effect can be reused with Burial from a different dimension. The great part about this card, Burial from a different dimension, is that it's a quick play, and also you can select up to 3 monster cards, so you can select 1, 2, or 3. So it's a very great card, and I really like it. And then I have Gorse, the Missionary of Darkness. It's a great card with this deck. The reason being is that there is only one trap card, so Torrential Tribute, or like I showed earlier, Mirror Force. Depending on which deck you're playing, the decks that use a lot of special summons, I would rather use Torrential Tribute. For some other decks, I would rather use Mirror Force. Usually the effect of Gorse is limited because there is a large amount of traps on your side of the field, which prevents it from being special summoned. In this case, it is not a problem. Then I have Lackluster Soldier and Wave of the Beginning. Personally, I think this card is a little bit too powerful, and even though it's limited, I kind of enjoyed it more when it was banned, but that's just me. The effect is when this card cannot be normal summon or set. This card can only be special summoned by removing from play one light and one dark monster in your graveyard. Once during each of your turns, you can select and activate one of the following effects. Select one monster on the field and remove it from play, or banish. If you activate this effect, this card cannot attack during this turn. If this card destroys your opponent's monster by battle, it can attack once again in a row. So it's a great effect. And I have Gorse, Plaguespread Zombie, and Sengun as my dark monsters to use for Blackluster Soldier. Usually I would use Foolish Burial to add one dark monster to my grave, and depending on the situation can be Gorse or Plaguespread Zombie, with Plaguespread Zombie being more advantageous. And in case if some of you are unfamiliar with Plaguespread Zombie, the effect is you can return one card from your hand to the top of the deck to special summon this card from your graveyard. If you do, remove this card, or banish, from play when it is removed from the field. So it's a great card. Then I have one Monster Reborn, one Dark Hole. I have Pot of Avarice. I ended up using this card quite a few times. It's not necessary, it all depends what kind of graveyard you have, what kind of field you have. Usually I would not necessarily use this card unless I'm desperate, so then I would use this card. Other than that, it is a great card to get rid of during deciding and maybe put in one Mirror Force, maybe Torrential, maybe one Raikou. Then I have one Torrential and one Heavy Storm. For my extra deck, I have Lavalval Chain. It's a great card. I do not believe that it is in TCG yet. Hopefully it will be soon. So once per turn you can detach one XYZ material from this card to activate one of the following effects. Send one card from your deck to the graveyard, choose one monster card from your deck and put it on top of your deck. So it's a very great card. Next one is Stillswarm Roach. Pretty much when a level 5 or higher monster would be special summoned, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, negate the special summon and destroy it. The attack is 1900, and with Gachi Gachi that would be 2300. So it's very useful, especially when you have, for example, Master Hyperion or Judgment Dragon on the field. Two Utopias. I find it very useful at times, but as you can expect, this deck doesn't end up exceeding very often, with exception for Gachi Gachi. Then I have Levier, one Levier. Usually I don't use any more than one. And then, like I discussed, I have one Armory Arm, and the effect is once per turn you can either target one monster on the field, equip this card to that card, target, or unequip this card and special summon it in face-up attack position. While equipped by this effect, the target gains 1000 attack. When the target destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. It's also light, so you can pair it up with one of, let's say, Master Hyperions, then use Honest, and it can do a lot of damage. Then I have 3 Catasters. I have 2 Orient Dragons, which destroy synchro monsters, although it's not as commonly used anymore because there isn't as much synchro summons going on, and 1 Brionac. My side deck isn't very extensive. This deck wasn't really meant for competitive play, more for fun, so I did not really put that much cards in this side. I do have a Castellar Omega, and then I have Daigasto Emerald, which is also a pretty good card. And that is about it for this deck. Hopefully you'll use it, maybe sometime try it out. It's pretty fun. It sometimes lacks consistency, but overall it's fun to use, and when you have both Master Hyperion, Judgment Dragon, and Ashlo Christie on the field, it's really fun. Anyway, hopefully you like it. Comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. Take care, bye.